Welcome back to the Virginia Investor Podcast. Today's episode is a special one. We're sitting down with Simone, one of our longest tenured remote team members from Belize, who's worked with Peak Property Management for almost 5 years. This is the very first time she's visiting us in person. Welcome. And we're diving deep into what it's really like to work remotely, build culture across borders, and create meaningful opportunities through trust, communication, and shared values. Simone, it is incredible having you in front of me in person. We'll talk about it throughout the episode, but I cannot. You've done so much for this company, and I'm so thankful for you. And it's interesting that you've done so much for this company from a different country. You've never previously met us in person until the past few days, and we would have virtual meetings and cover a lot of ground there, but it's different, right? Like you don't meet us in person and understand everything about us from that aspect. And it's just really special to have you in person, especially for the impact that you've made for Peak Property Management over the years. I really want to dive into your background, just get an understanding of what it's like growing up in Belize. And then I would love to get into how we got connected, and then what it was like the idea is to give the audience, many of which probably work with remote team members, an idea of how to strengthen those relationships and that culture, and maybe what we did wrong as a company at Peak and some things that we might have gotten right. And so the idea is just kind of talk through that to help the audience understand some good things, some bad things, building culture, strengthening relationships with our remote team members, and then being able to scale a company through that as well. So if you don't mind, let's start with growing up. Tell me about life in Belize as a child.
Yeah, well, as a child, it was pretty fun. I mean, as I've noticed with a lot of things here, we're pretty slow. Our country is slow in development as well. So a lot of things is pretty laid back. So my childhood was, compared to my children and myself, we did a lot of imaginary stuff. So we weren't big on the toys stuff and things like that. Devices wasn't really a huge thing. The internet wasn't a huge thing. So we were outside a lot, games we played on the streets, things like that. So it was a really fun time. I would really wish that my children could experience that, but they're not interested in things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's the same with there's obviously a lot of consumerism in America where people are buying everything, the toys and the products and this anything with a screen on it. Yeah. But again, even my childhood was not that way, right? Like it was a lot of going out and like hitting trees with sticks, stuff like that.
Hard box.
Right. Did you play any sports or anything like that? Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you grew up with siblings, and then I guess you guys just went out and either played together or played with your friends? Did you guys play sports?
Yeah. We basketball. You guys call it soccer here?
Yeah, football.
Yeah, but we football.
Awesome.
Yeah. We don't have American football like you guys. So
right.
yeah. I for a while tried tennis, but I couldn't really keep up with it, but yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what was school like? So here we have, again, I'm speaking like locally in Virginia, we have for the most part an elementary school, which is I'm going to butcher this, but probably like 5 to 10 years old. Then you have a middle school, let's call it 10 to 14 years old. Then you have high school, 14 to 18 years old. And we kind of just go through that process, and we have different like school districts where you might get mixed up with different groups when you go to different schools. What is school like or at least where you grew up in Belize, and what was like the size of your class or the size of your school and things like that?
Yeah. Well, the terminology is much different. Elementary, we call it infants. After that, it's primary, then high school, then junior college.
Okay.
Yeah. And a classroom is typically During my time, it was a bit larger. A teacher would be expected to house at least 35, 36 students. But now it's much more smaller because I guess they realized that there's just some complexity with that. So you would see maybe now it's about 28 or maybe 26, 28. So yeah.
What is the population of like the town that you grew up? How big are we talking? Like, do you have any idea of like how many people are in that town?
To be honest, no. I've never no, I really don't. I'm not sure. But it's pretty small.
Do you have is it like is it very dense in the way that you have a ton of neighbors close to you, or do you have a bunch of land? Do your neighbors have a bunch of land? What is it like?
Where I live now, yeah. I don't. The community is basically developing, so I'm not in the main city. I live a few miles out of the main city, so it's very. When I look outside, I'm seeing just land. So
awesome.
Yeah,
that's good.
And I love it, especially in the nighttime.
Awesome.
We can see the skies beautifully. You see shooting stars compared to being in the city where it's all lit up. So yeah.
So when I think of Belize as a tourist, complete tourist, I think of beautiful beaches, and the clear water and everything like that. Did you spend a lot of time at the beach, or is that just more like that's what the tourists do? You do other things?
Well, occasionally your parents will take you out to places like that because it's on the coast. You can experience the beaches, and then as well you have the islands that it's like an hour depending on how, what mode of transportation you take. If you take the little Cessnas, it's going to take like 5-10 minutes compared to the boat that would take an hour and a half or so. So yeah, we get to experience it. However, there are different parts of those islands that is more dedicated to tourists than it is to locals.
Right.
And it's basically because of the cost.
Yeah. What do most people do, like, as you were growing up, what did you envision your professional life being like? And then what do most people, is there like a common profession in Belize that many people aspire to do or to be? Yeah.
Well, personally, I wanted to be a vet.
Okay.
Yeah, because I just love animals. Like generally, I just love animals. So, but however, we know in our country, the main thing that people geared towards is becoming like a lawyer.
Okay.
Yeah, and the main reason for that is because, of course, it's money. That's what drives most of them. So that is where the money is. So most of them goes that way. And then over the past 5 years, I would say entrepreneurship had been a really big surge there. So most people are now going towards that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So when you are going through school, are you driven by school? Are you like getting good grades and interested in that, or are you just like ready to get out and be done with it?
No, well, I was pretty interested in school. When I went to school, I didn't really zone in on anything specific.
Right.
I just did what most call, back home we call it general education. So it just covers everything.
Right.
So in the case that you get out in the working field, you are able to, be fit with anything, basically. Yeah.
Awesome. So once you're out of school, professionally, what did that look like for you? What did you jump into?
My first job ever, I was 17 and I was actually a hotel receptionist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Was it like in a tourist area or just like a kind of a more of a local hotel?
It was like I guess it would be considered more like a moms and pops.
Yeah.
So like I guess what we call like B&Bs now. Yeah, for a single family home type of vibe. Yeah.
So you're doing hospitality in a sense, like you're making sure these people are taken care of and have a great experience.
Correct. Yeah.
That's awesome. I definitely see that a lot in you for what you've done at Peak. And how long were you doing that?
I did that for roughly about a year.
Okay.
Because like I said, it was like a mom and pop stuff. So the people eventually moved away.
Got it.
So that they sold out and that was it.
When you were, is remote work big in Belize? Like, is that, because we obviously in the Philippines, we have a strong remote team in the Philippines, and that's, from what I understand, pretty common. at least in our industry, do not hear a lot of remote team members from Belize. Is that big in Belize?
No, it's not. Remote work literally came around COVID time.
Interesting.
That was the first time that we were introduced to it.
Were you attracted to it because you get to work, and you have kids as well, but like, and at the time, they were a lot younger, right? Because it's been 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah.
So was that one of the main attractions for you, is like to be able to stay home with the kids, or just like not go into an office or something? What attracted you to looking for remote work?
Well, to be honest, coming around to looking for the remote work, I was actually just on my phone one night, just looking, going through different vacancies that was posted online, and I came across I guess you would consider it something like a staffing agency, or a recruiting company. And I noticed that it says we're hiring from Central America, and Latin America, and I was like, wow, first time I'm seeing something like this. So it wasn't a vacancy that I saw locally. It was just a general ad.
Right.
And then when I saw that, I said, let me look into it. So I clicked on the page, I read about it, I went on Google, checked the reviews, and then I was like, maybe I should just try and apply. You never know. And I did, because at this time I was still working. I was actually working at the court. Because,
That's right.
Yeah. So I was a stenographer at the time. So I was basically working with the government. And I was like, let me just try my luck and see what happens. And then before you know it, I sent an email, say maybe a Tuesday at about 2 a.m. in the morning because I wasn't able to sleep. And in less than a day, I would say, I got a response. And they were like, well, you need to do this. Can you send in a video? Can you give us a little bit about your background? Stuff like that. And I was like, okay, cool. Let me see if I can do it. So I did it, and I didn't hear anything for about 3 days. So it was like, well, it probably wasn't real. And I just went about my day. And before you know it, it was like the Monday I got a response, and they were telling me, well, I think we found someone that you could be matched with, a client that you could be matched with. Would you be willing to do an interview for the weekend? Which was, I think we did an interview on a Sunday.
Was that with us?
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably was.
Yeah.
7 days a week.
Yeah. And so they were like, would you be able to do it? Because it's not, it wasn't a conventional thing to do interviews on a Sunday, right? So I was like, yeah, I can do it. So
that was like if you could do that, you might be a good fit. If
yeah.
you're willing.
And to be honest, I actually had like a family dinner scheduled.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I was like, I spoke to my husband. I was like, babe, I have an interview. And he's like, an interview on Sunday? Who does that? I was like, I don't know. It's different. It's an international company. So he's like, okay, well, how do you feel about it? I'm nervous, but I want to do it. So he's like, how long do you think it's going to take? Because we have reservations, right? And we have to drive out from where we at to the main city. So I was like, I don't know, but we're going to see. So I literally just like took a white piece of paper in my room, and I set it there, and I had a small little table, and I just set my computer there. I had already had my dress on, and I just took like a blazer, and I put it on, and I was like, okay, well, it's time to meet Stephen Glover.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is cool. I love hearing that story. Oh man, that's because that brings me back. I think I remember that interview. And I've done probably hundreds of interviews since then, but I definitely remember it because we had tried remote team members before and we got it wrong. We didn't have the right communication, the right process, the right whatever, but we knew we needed remote help in some areas to help scale the company effectively. We wanted more power on our team, and there are things that can be done remotely at a very high level to help us operate. And so when we were bringing you on the team, it was very early in our remote team member experience. Now, was that 2020?
2021.
2021. Okay. All right. So when you and you also like you said, you're working for the court system. I remember that, and so you were applying for obviously a property management company. You had zero property management experience. I think what we were looking for was customer service experience. Like that was the main thing, was like who can give a really high level experience of customer service, responsiveness, communication to our residents for the most part, but some other things as well. And so that's really what we were looking for. And you had some hospitality background and then a professional background with the court systems and things like that. What was your thought process of like, did you know anything about property management at all?
I did not. And just to go back a bit, between doing the receptionist job and getting to the court, I had about 4 years experience that I did at a call center. And I think that was one of the reasons that they placed me, because I had that customer support background as well. And of course, we worked with U.S. clients. So I was working in Belize, yes, but you know, the people that I interact with was from the U.S.
And even for the call center, you would go into a building and like work with a call team, right? It still wasn't a remote job.
So,
Got it.
Yeah.
So you're interviewing, you didn't know anything about property management. And I remember that, where I was like, hey, look, we take chances on good people and we can teach you property management. We just need you to be a good person, right?
Yeah.
And so we interviewed. What did you think after the interview? And I mean, obviously, we have quite a strong relationship now at this point after many years of working with each other. So I would love to hear what you thought after the interview and maybe what concerns you might have had or what you're really excited about. What was your thought process after that?
Yeah. When I exited from the interview, I looked at my husband and I told him, babe, I don't know if I could actually do this. I said, Steven sounds awesome. He sells what he's saying really good. And I feel like they're way here and I'm here when it comes to whatever experience I need. So I'm feeling like I wouldn't be able to fully provide, but I know that I have the capability. But I was just hoping you guys have patience with me to get there, you know, because it's first time for me, but I know if I put in the effort, I can do it. And I had that belief in myself. So he was like, well, you just got to be open and let him know. You know, so I said, well, for the most part, he does know that I don't have property management background. So I think it's going to be easy for me to translate that over to you. And it was, because you made me feel welcome from the very beginning. Like, even though you were loading me up with information and letting me know, okay, this is how it works, at no point did I feel 100% intimidated. It's just naturally going into something new. I just had that first time anxiety, but other than that, it was great.
Yeah, that's you probably heard me say it a million times at this point, but there is something that I really believe in, and I believe that team members in a growing company that has some strong ambition need to be slightly uncomfortable at all times. Now, I say slightly uncomfortable out of respect for the team member. They don't need to be massively uncomfortable and suffering and overwhelmed. There may be days like that, but it shouldn't be a long pattern of that, or else we got to make some changes and stuff like that. But you should be slightly uncomfortable. And I think my goal is to keep people on the team slightly uncomfortable, because we don't want them on the other end is complacency as well. And that's not that is me doing a disservice to our team, because while people think they might want to be complacent, there's no growth, there's no opportunity, there's no advancement, there's no way for us to get better as a team, as a company, or individually if there's not some level of discomfort. And so I've had that mindset for a while, and it's likely it was the same with you, where it's like, you know nothing about property management. You were willing to be slightly uncomfortable as long as we were patient and we knew what we were getting into, right? Like, you were very forthright. Like, there's no property management experience, but we were hiring you for the customer service aspect. Like, we really wanted you to bring a really high level of customer service to our team, and to provide that extra experience. And that's what you had. And so we were confident we could teach you the property management side of things. So we obviously worked out job terms and things like that. You accepted and came to our team. The first couple of months, obviously uncomfortable, learning, but was there any other shock to working remote, like specifically about remote work that maybe we wouldn't know? Like, was it weird around the house? Was it hard to be productive? Was it like, talk to us about that?
Yeah. At first, like I said, I didn't have any designated area set aside for work. So sometimes I would find myself, in the kitchen area or sometimes in my bedroom. So, and then I realized this is not going to work because I'm not being able to focus pretty good.
Right.
So my husband eventually said, you know what, we need to try to make some space because we had like a storage room. And he was like, we need to make some space here, and that way you can close the door, you won't hear the noise that's going outside, all of that. So we did that, and I managed to have my workspace. And then I found myself being more focused. I was able to shut off what's going on outside with the kids and not paying attention to it, stuff like that. And of course, because my son, he would want to come in, hey mom, what are you doing?
Right.
And I'm working, so that was like the biggest transition for me. I wasn't used to that at all, because before it's just get up, go to work, come back home.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not uncommon to have to like be in meetings with your remote team members and see their kids walking in and out and seeing like their significant others crawling across the floor behind them, like trying not to be on camera. Like I see it, I notice it. I don't call it out because, I don't want people to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But to me, like, that doesn't mean that remote team member cares any less. It doesn't mean that there's any kind of like game going on. Like it would seem weird if like this is filming right now and people are crawling behind me or something, or like my kid is coming up and crawling on my lap. But at the same time, you have to understand that the remote team members, if you make the right hire, they want to learn, they want to do good at what they're doing. They have the same alignment as your in-house team. Like anyone who has kids understand, they're not going to stay where you tell them to stay.
Nope.
Like they're going to be in your lap, they're going to be behind you. So it's one of those things as an employer that you need to like be okay with it. You need to be okay that they are not in an office, they're working from their home, and there's going to be some adversity that comes with that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you get an amazing person that you get to draw from anywhere in the world to come work with your team. And if it's the right fit, it's an incredible benefit to your company. But it is a different environment. Like there have been meetings I've been in where you hear like roosters in the background and stuff like that, not necessarily with you. I'm just saying like with different like, and it's one of those things where it's like, cool. That doesn't mean they're any less than anyone here.
Correct.
There could be a loud truck outside of our office at some point. Right. So anyway, it's one of those things where it's like, there is that challenge of working from home. And how was it with your kids? Your kids were younger at the time, and like, did they have difficulty knowing that mama was home, but mama can't pay as much attention? Obviously, you step away from your computer and you can hang out with them a little bit, but like, did they have any difficulty accepting that you couldn't play with them 24/7?
Over time, they got to like learn my routines and when it's work time, when it's not. And then for the fact that as well, there's a time difference. So it's 2 hours. So sometimes I get 2 hours in work before they're up. So that's good. And then as well, I get 2 hours off earlier, so I have time to deal with them as well. So they adjusted to it pretty quickly. I would say roughly about 4 months. Right. Yeah.
What sort of challenges work-wise? So those are some of your home challenges. Did you run into, I should also ask, did you run like the technology side of things? Did you have to like, were you finding that you had to improve your internet or have backup internet or backup power or anything? Like, was there anything that you had to do to advance that or make sure that was in a better position for this remote job? Yeah,
well, when it came to, I think our internet is relatively good, but when it came to power, I needed to ensure, because where I was at, we were basically off grid. So I was using solar, and then at times the weather is not always too promising. So then we had to basically make sure we have our generator as a backup, so the house can keep, so I could stay online. One thing that I know that was a challenge when it came to adjusting to remote and being home and the work life, like I wasn't able to separate it,
Interesting.
work and
Yep.
home.
Yeah.
I felt the need that I need to always be on. Oh,
Right.
there, it's after 5, but an email came in, maybe say 5:30. I felt the need that I need to answer that right away.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting because we have the luxury of we drive into the office and we can check in on that
Correct.
drive, right? Like mentally check in and prepare ourselves for what we have to deal with. And that is a very clear delineation from your home life and your work life, right? And then on the drive home, we get to decompress from the day.
Correct.
And I'll tell you, like personally, this is not near as bad as like having to work from home, but I used to live very close to the office. I don't.
Okay.
We moved. I live probably about 30 minutes away from the office now, but I used to live very close to the office. And I saw it as a convenience when it was time to drive to and from the office. But when things are very difficult in a startup environment and and you're working 7 days a week and stuff, and things are like, it just feels like everything is a house of cards. No matter how good the company is doing, you just feel like it can go away at any point in time.
Yeah.
So you have a stressful day. You have there's 1,000 issues. There's things you're trying to fix. There's people you're trying to take care of, whether they believe you or not, that you really care and really want to take care of them. You deal with that, which is very difficult for me personally. Like especially when I try to care for everyone, but I'm not always able to do that. But the point is I would drive home and I'd be home in like 8 minutes. And I would have little kids waiting for me when I got home at the time. Like they would be 1 or 2 years old or 2 or 3 years old, etc. And a wife that was home all day that needed me to take the kids and engage with the kids. And that 8 minutes, I could not decompress. And it was a big issue. Like once you're in with the kids, then I really can't sort out my thoughts to get everything settled in my head. And I would just be a zombie at days, like for my kids. And I would just be like, they would be tugging on me and wanting to play and wanting to do all these things. They hadn't seen me all day. My wife would need a break. And I would just be like trying so hard to figure out things in my head so my brain could relax and focus on my kids. But I didn't have enough time. And then now that I moved further, I eventually like tried to find different methods, like try to decompress before I got my car. But then when you're at work, you're still like people are talking to you and stuff like that. So that's difficult. But then now that I live 30 minutes away from the office, I intentionally, right when I sit in my truck, I start trying to unwind my brain.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying from the second I sit in my truck to the second I pull in the driveway to unwind my brain. And it gives me time. So then when my kids are like, Daddy, 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 I can grab them and I can hug them. I can ask how their day was and I'm good to go. But I don't think that I've correlated. There's a lot. I've thought about remote work a lot. We have a handful of remote team members on our team, but I don't think I've ever correlated the whole. There's no room to decompress after a hard day. You just walk in another room and you're still in the same environment.
It is.
That's tough. Looking back to your early days, what sort of challenges did you have at Peak specifically? Because you again, we had tried remote. I think maybe a remote team member ahead, and I took full ownership. We weren't ready as a company. I just didn't have the processes, and we were much smaller. Didn't have the processes as dialed. Didn't have, and again, in house, people can just figure it out, and they can do what needs to be done. For remote, you have to have the processes in place. You have to have systems and processes, and for them to be able to be confident at what they're doing, to understand the roles and responsibilities, and to knock it out of the park. Right. You can't expect them to operate from a different country without the right roles and responsibilities and process. That was the biggest learning experience. So I think when we went to hire you, we knew that we had learned that lesson, but we still, you see us then and see us now, we're light years ahead of where we were.
Correct.
But at the time, I think we were good enough to get started. But what pain did you feel, let's say the first 90 days at Peak, when we were learning how to work with you and you were learning how to work with us remote wise? Was there a lot of confusion or communication issues or anything that stands out?
In that earlier part, it was definitely communication was what I had like the biggest issue with. And the reason, not communication in the sense that information wasn't provided clearly, it was the time. Because, at that point, everything is I would send a Ring Central message. Remember, at the time, I dealt with tenants directly. So I felt that pressure of whenever a tenant calls in, I needed to have the answer right away. Right. So it wasn't at that first stage, it wasn't clear that you don't need to have the answer right now.
Right.
Later on, we got to that stage, right? So the pressure was really there, and I used to get very overwhelmed with it because I would send a message, and then now that I'm here, I can see it. Like, I understand it. People are around, they're on calls, so it's not that you send a message and they're just there looking at it. I'm not going to answer that right now. It's nothing like that. We might feel like, oh my gosh, why? I sent this message about 10 minutes ago. It feels like an hour on our end, right? But that was like the most difficult part, the communication part. And so now it's far way easier. It's far way better. So that's I know for a fact the other remote workers, they definitely appreciate that.
That was a groundbreaking thing when we identified that as a problem, where like, I don't even remember exactly. It might have been from your feedback or something, but it was years ago. We identified that there was a common misconception that we had to have the answer for everything when the question was asked.
Correct.
And that's what other people expect. Like, that's what our callers expect. But realistically, and that leads us to some really awkward conversations where we're either trying to force an answer, we're trying to come up with an answer that we're not prepared to give yet, or people are just really upset with us for not having answers, and then we feel terrible about it, like we're just failing. But the thing is like, I think what people don't understand is, well, not that people have a responsibility to understand this, but you could get a call from a tenant that says, hey, does my property and lease, I want to get a cat. Does my property and lease allow a cat? And then you could, work through the lease and, talk to that person, help them get an answer. And then the next person calls and says, I want to break my lease. I hate everything, blah, blah, blah. Or I have a terminal illness, or I just got relocated to California, or I get this. And then the next person calls and they're an owner and they want to know about this $200 charge on a state. And it was just like, it is so, there are thousands of things literally that people could call about. And the second we started training our team to say, you don't need to know the answer. You don't need to know. And even more so, like the calls were, will you accept a credit score of 682 with an income of, something like that. And the next person would call, hey, I have a cat with 3 legs, and then I have a mom that, has, whatever. And it's just like, it is all over the place. Anything you could imagine in human existence that people deal with in life, we're getting those calls. And people are asking if it's acceptable, if it's allowed, if the lease supports it, if it doesn't. And it's and it could happen back to back, tens or 100 calls a day, depending on the size of the company, whatever. But the idea is like, in one person can call us and say, you guys are the first property management company that I've ever dealt with that cares. And it could just be this awesome conversation. And the next call could be like, you are scum of the earth. Everything, and no matter what the scenario is. And so it's very difficult. And I think that we realized once we started training our team from day one that they didn't need to have the answer. What they needed to do was answer the phone. What they needed to do is be responsive and answer the emails and say, hey, I got your email. I'm on top of it. I don't have an answer for you right now, but this is when I'll be able to get back to you by the end of the day, or something like that. And so once we established that, I think it relieved the pressure from the team. It was like a literally like a pressure relief valve of being like, you have all of these inquiries coming in. And it's okay if you're not immediately find the answer if you can. But if you can't, get all the information and then set expectations of when they can hear back from you, when they should expect to hear back from you, and then do what you say you're going to do. And then if we just do that, and as long as we get back to them in a reasonable amount of time, like again, end of the day, end of the next day, or end of the week, depending on what the situation is, how many other people we need to call, what research we need to do, that's the key. And so the second we took pressure off of everyone is, hey, you can answer the phones next week. And you don't even need to know how to spell property management. as long as you are responsive, you communicate well, and you check in with the team and get the answer that you need, and then do what you say you're going to do to get back to them, we're going to have a really good business, and people are going to be happy. I think we figured that out with your help. And initially, like, we weren't used to a remote team member. We're running around, we're going on site, we're doing things where you have this computer in front of you, and you're sending a message, and it might be, again, 10 minutes. It feels like an hour. This person might be on hold, and you're thinking that you need to answer every question. And you're also wondering, they're sitting in front of their computers too. Why aren't they answering?
Yeah.
But maybe not. Correct. Maybe we're on the phone. Maybe we're on site. But you don't get to see that. And so that is a great lesson that we eventually learned and figured that out. But initially, we probably didn't know that, and it probably did cause a lot of stress both ways. You know, from our team being like, how do we support you? And we weren't doing a good enough job. And then you being like, I need more support. I'm dealing with all these tenants, happy or upset or indifferent. And you were the one carrying a ton of weight. I think your initial title was something like tenant support specialist or something like that, but it was directly towards tenant resident experience and customer service. That's a tough position to be in.
Yeah. And the adjustment that you guys made with that, I noticed it immediately as more remote workers came on, because I know when as we progressed, it used to be at least you wouldn't be on calls for at least 2 weeks, I think. And then now they can come on immediately.
Right.
And they do great.
Yeah. It was great for efficiency. And the best way to learn is to do it.
Correct.
Because we could talk about this all day long. But as long as they know they don't need to answer the question, and sometimes they shouldn't answer the question if they don't know.
Right.
But they don't need to answer the question. They know how to find that. They need to know what team members to reach out to and how to find the information and how to be resourceful. But they'll learn how, like a month in, they'll know how to answer the questions like that without having to put them on hold and stuff. They say, hold on, let me check your ledger. Let me do this. Let me do that. And so we get there, but we can get them in. And again, within a week, have them start answering the phone and say, you don't need to know anything about property management. You need to know responsiveness, communication, customer service, who to go to, and then get back to them very quickly. And it's incredible how we've been able to utilize our remote team members and how they picked up, some of which not having any property management experience and being some of our strongest team members as far as customer service and experience goes. What about culture, like work culture? Because now you're dealing, now I guess you did do a call center for United States based companies. So you might have already been kind of in tune with maybe some American professional or work culture, but was there anything at Peak that surprised you as far as the culture of the company early on? Now, no, I think it's largely remained the same, but it's been scaled to some capacity, and some of our verbiage and language has changed about how we handle things. But early on, was there anything shocking about like the culture that used to be in these Belize-based companies that you worked at versus this American-based company?
Yeah. Well, even the call centers back home, the culture is not Americanized. It's still, because it's basically run by people, the locals. So the culture there is still how it is in Belize. But it was definitely a culture shock when I start working with you guys, because first of all, the openness, we're not used to it. Being able to speak directly to your boss and express yourself openly and actually be heard, that's not the usual thing, you know. And as well, gatekeeping is huge because that's how you get ahead, you know. So nobody's gonna help you out basically to let you know what you need to do better, so because somebody's trying to get your spot, so so those right there was a real shock for me. And as well, you guys are very hands-on with everything. You guys genuinely care. For me, I know I look at it like this. There's a difference between checking in and checking on.
Interesting.
With our culture, they're a check-in type of community. Like, they're just gonna check in with you just to see, okay, so how far you are on this project, and it's not even in a sense to provide support. It's like, okay, we're judging you, you're moving too slow, things like that. Compared to you guys actually check on us to see how we're doing mentally as well. So, and if you, like, for instance, with my check-ins with Gina, most of the times, well, I'm sorry, not check-ons. With Gina, it would be like, So how's your bandwidth? Are you good? Do you need any
Right.
help?
Yep.
We don't have that home.
Right.
So it's very different. And it was hard for me to adjust to it because I'm already used to having to make sure, basically be perfect.
Right. I love that you point that out. And that means a lot to me because there's been a lot of effort put into that culture. I honestly don't think that's normal for American businesses.
Okay.
Like, I think that, again, I'm biased to an extent that I think very highly of our team and our company. But I've worked at different places before owning a company. I've also had a unique background that put me in a situation of various cultures of elite teams that worked very well. And part of those elite teams were like, there's no individual. It is all about the team, and the team has to win first. And so gatekeeping would not be tolerated here, right? Like, we have higher ambitions. We want to have a higher level of attention and care that we can provide to our clients and our residents, et cetera. And we don't always get it right. But the idea is, it disturbs me to even think that people gatekeep on the same team because you're hurting the team.
Right.
And to me, it like doesn't even register in my brain that should be a thing, right? And even sports growing up, it's been like, if another player is going to be stronger than me in a position, he should be there so the team can win. And so with our company, it is, okay, Simone's on the team now. She needs help and support because she doesn't have any property management background and she's remote. And we need to be sure that she absolutely can be the strongest player she can be if we want this to work. And if we want the team to be stronger and be able to use this remote capability, we need to see it through and we need it to be successful. It's not on Simone for that to happen. It's on the team to give Simone all the tools, support, and resources possible so that could happen.
Right.
And we were learning, of course, like again, the communication piece, like there's things we could have done differently that we do differently now. But I actually think that is somewhat special to Peak. I'm sure there's other companies out there with similar cultures that do a great job. But we have reinforced that from day one, that we won't tolerate gatekeeping, that you kick someone off the team, you kick the weakest link off, there's going to be another weakest link. And you just keep kicking them off, and then there's no one left on the team. So your option is to kick off the weakest link or to build up the strongest team possible by supporting and offering information and sharing tools and resources. And that's how we've been able to grow and keep people like you on the team. So it's cool that you recognize that and point that out. I do think it is something special that we have as a company, and we fight to keep that every day. I mean, we had a quarterly all hands meeting this morning that talked, just about that culture and things like that as well. So you were largely in a customer service capacity. There was a part that it's long ago now, and hopefully you feel comfortable talking about it, but there was a very hard time for you at some point, and we kept it under wraps at Peak just because it wasn't anyone's business. You had done so well in the company that there was other opportunity for you, and you asked for it, and you said, hey, look, I don't want to do this. Well, sorry, I shouldn't put it like that. You should say, like, you basically said, is there anything else I can do? Like, you didn't say you didn't want to do anything. You said, is there anything else I can do? And I think we asked some questions and tried to figure out why and what was going on and stuff like that. Because obviously you were performing, an absolute rock star. We love having you on the team, and we want to see what's up, right? And you had mentioned that you basically just can't take the calls anymore. What did that feel like to you? What was going through your head? And did you think it was going to be something that would separate you from the company?
Yeah. It got to a point whereby I was doing all the support by myself. So I was speaking to tenants directly all the time. And like I said, at that time, because I felt like I needed to have answers and I wasn't able to have answers, I ended up dealing with a lot of irate people sometimes, and some of our tenants weren't nice, so, and being the type of person that I am, my personality is I always try to be as helpful as possible, and then when I'm not, I'm pretty hard on myself. So like, I was my biggest critique, like, oh my gosh, you didn't handle that call well, you should have done better, so it was literally just working on my mental. And my family started to notice it home, because I went from being so excited, and then as time progressed, like, my personality just sized down. And they were like, I was like getting to the point that, oh my gosh, it's work in the next hour.
Right.
I don't want my first call to be like,
Yeah.
I was sitting there, and when the phones ring, my heart
Anxiety.
would race, because I would be like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be the first call for my day. I don't want it to be someone that's gonna, just lay it all out on me. So I sat and I thought about it. I even prayed about it. And my husband spoke with me, and he was like, the way you speak about your boss, he sounds like someone that would listen. So why don't you go to him and explain to him exactly, because in situations like that, I guess people will just up and go.
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
100%.
No
Yep.
explanation,
Yep.
nothing.
Yep.
Right. But I'm not that type of person, because I want people to understand exactly. Even if I had decided that I don't no longer really want to do it, Steven, I still wanted to bring that to your attention. So
Right.
whoever comes after me would have been you guys would have been able to fix it.
Right.
So I definitely brought it up to you, letting you know that it was basically overwhelming me.
Right.
But I still loved the company, and I wanted to continue
Right.
grow with you guys.
Yep.
So for me, it was like, is there anything else I can do? Because I'm great in the background. I'm good at emails. I'm good at this. But what else can I do other than can we just take out this one aspect, and I swear I can continue doing
Right.
good.
Do you think you would have quit if we didn't have the relationship we had?
Oh, yeah.
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 So that is really interesting, because it's not easy for you to step up and say something like that. And often your employee, I think in-house or remote, will just quit. They won't give you without that relationship, they won't give you the opportunity to improve. And even if you did quit, you just said that, like, you wanted just me to know for the next person so that they wouldn't quit either, just to help the company, which is just tons of props for you for having that mindset. But I think having that relationship in place was so important, where it's like, again, to us, you've been remote physically, but you're a part of the you're a part of the team. And it is no different from how we feel about you and your family and your well-being than we feel about our in-person people, which is physically you're remote. And so we tried our best to have that relationship and that culture as best as we could. And we did it through, you weren't just off in the back. Like, we saw you almost every day, right? Like in meetings and different, like, communications and stuff like that, like physically through cameras, right? Virtually. But we at least, like, it wasn't just messages all the time. It was like, we are talking to you face to face, and we're looking at you, our cameras are on, we're engaging, we're checking on you and checking in and stuff like that.
Correct.
So you give us this feedback, and I'll tell you that, like, it is not unusual. You have to have the right people in the right seats. Now, you were unbelievable at what you did. You were very good at customer service. But your personality is just like mine in that sense, where we want to please people, and we want to have good relationships and healthy relationships, and we want to make people feel good. We want to make people feel happy. And in property management, one of the hardest things that I had to learn leading up to property management, I could make everyone happy. No matter the situation, I was the guy that would make people feel good and help them reach their goals and find a solution for them, even if there was nothing in it for me. I never cared about myself. It was just, what could I do for these people? And it made me feel good. I got to thrive on that. And of course, like, in doing that, it comes back to you, but that was never that, like, no one ever really told me that. I just noticed that happened. It just made me feel good helping other people. And I never hung out with the people that were just always unhappy or always ungrateful, or I just didn't put them in my circle, right? Or just wasn't in those circles. I didn't understand that in property management, there are things, no matter how good you are as a company, you are responsible for making sure that people follow the lease. You're responsible for making sure that people pay rent. You're responsible for evicting people. You're responsible for filing unlawful detainers. You're responsible for sending out fees or fines. You're responsible for non-renewing leases. You're responsible for not accepting applications. And that, holy cow, you can get someone who is not even close to being approved, and they will leave you 1-star reviews, and they'll call your team and they will cuss you out and tell you that you are all the things you never wanted to be in life, like some words you never thought you would hear about yourself. There are so many things that I've heard over the years about myself that I've seen posted on the internet, that I've seen called to my team members, where I get to see these people actually care about what they do. And again, we are not perfect. We will drop the ball. We will make mistakes. It's important to me that we own those and we say, hey, we did screw up. You have a right to be frustrated. You have a right to be mad. We messed up, and here's what we're going to do to fix it. And here's also what we're doing based on your feedback that we're going to improve so this doesn't happen to other people. That happens. It's a part of business. Yeah. But I'm speaking specifically about the things that we have to do as property managers, part of the business, part of our like legal agreements that we need to do. And through that, you will be berated. And we try to minimize our mistakes to help eliminate some of that, that anger. But like, there's always going to be at any given time stuff that we're dealing with that we really, and so the thing is, what I've learned over the years is like when I first started in this company, I was doing mostly everything. And I found that there were some things that I had to get rid of quick because my brain, my mind, my mindset, my attitude could not handle it. I could not understand being around certain types of people or just really unhappy people or people I couldn't make happy, where there's always something I could have done better, but maybe like, I'm not sure how they want me to control that they're going through a divorce, or, there was a water leak in their building that no one could have known about or something. And now like they're attacking me and my family. Yep. And so I had to remove myself, and I didn't understand. I just thought I was bad at what I did. And I didn't understand how that was going to be sustainable. And so I would hire other people, and then some other people like yourself would kind of give the same feedback. It's like, hey, this is really starting to affect my mental state. And me as a person, I'm no longer enjoying this, right? And there's anxiety that comes with it. There's all these things I never thought I would feel that I had to start dealing with. Yeah. And then what I realized, it took me a couple of years, but what I realized is there are specific personalities that can deal with that on a daily basis, and they are still fired up at the end of the day. Because it just doesn't get to, I'm not a psychologist or whatever the profession would be. I don't understand like the personality terms or whatever the names are, but there definitely are. And even those people, I'm not saying they could just be a punching bag, but they can way more withstand those sort of conversations from a customer service standpoint than maybe me or you could. Yeah. And so I understood completely what you were saying, because I had been through it and I had to remove myself from it. Regardless of how good we were as a company, we were crushing it. Yeah. And we still are. But again, outside of mistakes that we make from time to time, you still get berated. and it's one of those things where like, okay, so it's very difficult. We got to get the right people in the right seats to handle these types of situations. And what mattered to me was you and your health. And the health of the other remote team members, whoever we had hired at the time. It really was important. It was a problem that we had to solve, and it was a part of the business. One, we need to do better by all means. But two, this is always going to happen. How do we keep team members happy and reduce turnover? And a lot of that was finding the right people for the job. And largely for whatever reason, we noticed that some of our folks in the Philippines are incredible at customer service, just insanely incredible at customer service, and having a powerful, positive attitude. At the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, and I'm not saying they appreciate the people that call them and cuss them out, but they know how to handle that, and they can just withstand it, and they're so professional in their activity. And even them at some point were like, all right, let's move you over to this department. You've been doing this for, and so we even recognize, hey, let's move some people, give them some fresh perspective. And so we still try to refresh the front lines per se as we grow. And as we refresh the front lines, you as a customer service rep, you got to learn all about the company, every aspect of the tenant ledgers to maintenance to leasing to everything. So then you were well equipped to go into a different area of the business. And fortunately, since we were growing, we were able to do that for you. And we do the same for our current customer service reps. We have different titles, but we do the same, where now once they kind of get the vibe we look for opportunities to move them out to have different perspectives and bring new people in as well. When I think we had kind of moved you around to a few different positions after that, and it was sort of like at the needs of the company. Did you have, I think we'd explained to you like, hey, we need you doing this right now, and then like it might change, and like, hey, now this is your role, and now this is your role. How did that, did you still feel appreciated, or were you worried about like the changes, the different roles as we were kind of finding a spot for you?
It was exciting for me. For me, I took it because I'm a person that tends to see the good in any situation, and I look at it at a glass full, half full type of perspective. So when I saw that you guys were moving me around, I look at it like you guys really trust me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So so it wasn't a negative thing for me. I was like, okay, so they believe in me and they trust me. That's the reason why they're giving me all these
Right.
different things to do. So yeah, and I'm a person, I enjoy challenges.
Right.
But my only issue then was just having to deal. I didn't, like you said, I didn't have the personality to be on and off when it comes to dealing with different tenants on the phone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we moved you more to like more of a back end administrative position, but you knew so much about the company and how we operated and our process, procedure, software, our properties and everything, where you just rolled right in. And there were different needs of the company. But now you've solidly landed into like an operations position where you're doing all kinds of stuff on the back end for this company. Yeah. And it's awesome to see. And you've been able to get advancements and promotions and things like that. And it's one of those things where if we have someone who's good, who cares about the company, we want to retain them at all costs.
Yeah.
And so why do you think from a remote position in a different country that you actually cared? Because I think a lot of people can't wrap their head around this, that like there are, again, if you have the right people on the team, like they will actually very much care about your company and be some of the best team players that you can hire. Why is that? What made you feel like a part of the team? And what certain things did we do? Because we'll talk about maybe what we did wrong too at some point, but what do we do right to make you feel like part of the team from countries away?
Yeah. Well, actually, it came more in the beginning from you, Stephen, because you spoke so passionately about this company and your future plans, things like that. And I'm naturally drawn to anybody that can speak so passionately about anything. So even if it's you're saying, oh, one day I'm just gonna make this phone into a robot, I'm gonna believe you if you speak with it with such conviction. And whenever you spoke about Peak and what your intentions was for like in the future, I was like, yeah, I can definitely work with this person. Yeah. And before I even knew that, you were as well, your birthday was in December, I was like, you have a lot of my personality. Yeah. So I was like, I wonder, I'm not big on astrology or anything like that, but I do know that, certain people within a certain their months, have certain personality similarities. So I was like, yeah, Stephen is definitely inspiring, and I love the way that you speak, the way you think, and so that really drove me.
What are some things that we've done as a team? Because you've been here nearly 5 years, and that's no small feat in itself, because the company has, when you joined us, we were a very small company with a lot less people on the team. Yep. And when we go through all of those changes in personality, and there's just so many things that have happened since 2021, and you still remain committed to the team, again, from countries. I mean, that kind of blows my mind. Again, I know that our team has put a lot of effort into it, but now we have like, and you can be honest, but we have like virtual parties. We have things that are intentionally done, so we bring the whole team together. Virtually, we have the all hands company meetings where all the virtual team joins and everyone comes in and we talk about the state of the union of the company. What things have we done over the years that meant a lot to you as a remote team member, and maybe even what are some things we need to do more of?
Yeah, well, like you said, you guys try to include us as much as possible and not let us feel left out, because it's easy for you guys to have things going on here physically,
right,
and the company here, and then we are just in the background.
Right.
You guys don't let us feel like call center workers who's just hired and we're just working in the back while you guys got things going on here. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone has at least two or at least one check-in with their immediate.
Right.
And that is something that is very important because it let us know that we're still being seen, we're still being heard. And like I said, aside from just you guys checking in to see, oh, so how far are you? How are your KPIs? You know, it's okay. How are you doing? How's your family? I'm pretty sure, like, for instance, Gina knows my children's name. Mm-hmm. She's gonna be like, okay, so how's Asher doing today, or how's Alyssa? You know, so it's just that genuine care that you got, and it's not in any way. We don't look at it like, oh, this is just, you know, it's automated. No, they don't really mean that. You can feel the genuinity with everything that you guys do. Right. And that is greatly appreciated. The flexibility. Sometimes we come and be like, you know, life happens. You know, you might not feel too well today, or a family emergency comes
Storms.
up. Yeah, exactly. Storms, hurricanes. The guys in the Philippines, it's typhoons, earthquakes, you know, and you guys are understanding. I feel like other companies would be like, you know what? This person had made, they're having this issue for like 3 weeks now. I think it's time for us to find someone else new.
Right.
Like, they would be quick to replace while you guys try to understand. Another thing as well, the support is absolutely awesome here. If we're out because, okay, an emergency came up, someone was sick, or we needed to step out because, oh, we need to go to, or maybe a PTA meeting, something like that. Instantly, you will see in the conference room a message, hey, Mickey will be out or Calvin will be out. Let us know how we can help. Mm-hmm. And that is awesome because it let us know that even though we're out, we don't have to anticipate that this huge workload would be there waiting for us, 1,000 emails, you know. So that is awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, we've had some of the remote team members from the Philippines who have worked remotely for many other companies before coming to Peak. I remember, like, I would tell them, we want your feedback. Like, do not just sit there and let a process not work or not be as good as it could be. We want your feedback. And I remember one of the team members was like, okay, and just very shy and reserved. And then we went on, and I kept saying it and kept saying it. And one day I asked her and said, why didn't you say this earlier? Or why didn't you, I forget exactly what the question was, but I basically was trying to figure out why she was so quiet. Because she had good feedback when she had it, but you had to really pry it out of her. And she said, Steven, I've been doing this for probably, I think it was like 10, 15 years. And she's never had an employer that wanted her feedback. And so she never was able to provide feedback at any company she had worked with before. And so she didn't feel comfortable providing feedback.
Correct.
And I was like, well, welcome to Peak, because I'm not going to, like, no one on this team should stay quiet when they know we can be doing things better.
Yeah.
We also, like, again, storms are an issue. Like, early on, I guess a lesson learned for me early on was, like, I had hired some folks in the Philippines, and they would have they have a bunch of storms, right?
Yeah.
And so their power would be out for days at a time with no notice. And I was tolerant of that. I was like, they're team members. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. They're good to go. And then the next week, their power would be out for a couple of days, right? No notice. And I'd be like, look, they have it really rough over there. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, et cetera. It took me a while, but because I just trust people are going to be team players, which is probably, you know, I've learned to get a little tougher in that aspect, in that regard. But it turns out that I was massively getting played. Like, I was massively getting played. And so I learned from that, and I was like, oh, okay. Because I think what happened is I started hiring other people, and they were, like, still working. And I was like, oh. And so I wanted to feel bad for these people, and I was like, no, give them another week. Maybe I'll hear from them next week. Maybe I'll hear, but I'm like, in the meantime, we need to cover and move and make sure our team is, you know, but maybe they'll come back next week. I heard it was a bad storm.
Yeah.
And so I realized I was getting played, and I learned that, like, at every hire now, the RTMs need to have backup internet and backup power. And what I've learned is that the good team members, the people that do care and that want to come in and do work and care about the company, will let you know when something, they will find a way to let you know that something, even if a storm is expected, they'll say, hey, look, storm's expected. It's going to hit here. This is about what, just a heads up. Like we may be going through. So like there's an earthquake recently in the Philippines and like the team let us know. And some people were sending memes.
Joking.
Like, they were like here sending like a gif of like them, the whole world is shaking. They're working from under the desk. Or whatever. And they're like, this is me currently or whatever. But then everyone was checking in on them and making sure they were safe, and so it was a lesson for business owners out there is like you can easily get played. It's easy to get played, but if you find the right, I had to learn to put the right checks and balances in place to where I wasn't micromanaging, I wasn't like demanding too much, but I also needed to realize like it is common, especially in the Philippines, for people to have backup internet, backup power. They know they should have it, and then require that as a condition of hire. And then the right team members are going to find a way to at least give you a heads up,
correct,
and at least communicate in some way. But I was literally allowing team members to go weeks without contacting us, but I just didn't. I felt bad for them. I was like, oh my God, I hope they're okay.
You were just trusting that what they were saying was right.
And so fortunately we have an awesome team now that like anything is going on there, and even in the Philippines, they are meeting up and like going and partying over the weekends together where they didn't know each other before. So they work for a company across the world, got to know each other, and now they're hanging out and know each other's families and stuff like that in the Philippines, which is awesome. So I think that's really cool. And I remember like there was probably multiple, but like a storm that like damaged your house. Yeah. That and there were things like we really care about you guys when stuff like that happens. It's to the culture of like making you, or to the point of like making you feel included. We literally will feel guilty if we're putting like a baseball event on the calendar where our whole team's going out to a baseball game, and I'm just like we're like, how can we do this without like, even though it's ridiculous to think, we're still like, man, we're excluding some team members. Anyway, but that's just how we feel about it. What impact has this position or remote work in general, now that you're way up to speed, you're doing really well, what impact has that made on you? Do you think it's been an overall positive impact, a good thing for you? Are there any takeaways that you didn't expect that you've felt after working remote for nearly 5 years?
Yeah, well, I definitely am far way better than I was before. Working remotely had made me been able to self-manage better. Time management, I've been able to really zone in on that. I wasn't good with that. But being remote for such a long time, I've managed to really get good at it. So I seriously appreciate that, because whether or not, if at some point, if I ever, you guys move me here, I'm still going to be able to have that here and still put it into action. Right. So
yeah, we planted the seed now. So let's talk about that. We months ago, we had talked about it for years, where we had said like, man, wouldn't it be cool to meet in person someday? Yeah. And again, in theory, or not in theory, like, I would love to get our Philippine team here. Just again, like I'm still feeling that, like I don't want them to feel left out. And I remember like I had some long explanation of when I announced that you were coming. I was like, look, I want to bring everyone here. It just would be massively more expensive. We need to figure out the logistics of bringing everyone. But the idea of we have talked about it for years, and it almost was like a joke. We were like, someday, someday. And then I guess a couple months ago, we were like, let's do this. Yeah. And so we talked and we tried to figure out a good date for you to come. Again, we had never met you in person it was just virtual and for years of working with you. And a lot of adversity and challenges and learning and lessons and things like that, and growing this company together. We picked some dates, and we again had a quarterly all hands team meeting this morning, so we figured that would be good for you to sit in and like see everyone on the team that's in person. It's just the dates worked out for other reasons too. Not a lot of people on vacation and things like that. What leading up to like when we booked the flights, what was going through your head once those flights were booked? Like, what did you expect? What did you think? What were you nervous about?
Yeah, like, to be honest, Steven, it wasn't until I got on the plane, like the day that I went to the airport, I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening. And I was super nervous. I mean, aside from the traveling part, I was super nervous coming here, meeting everyone in person. I was like, I wonder if they would like me, if I, so, but everyone is exactly what I've imagined. You guys are super awesome. It's even 10 times better being here and, actually just interacting just randomly. I mean, Tucker is like on my left and he's being Tucker that I used to see on the virtual calls, who would just randomly start singing a song or just make, right. So it's just so great just to experience that in person. And I know, like you said, it would have been great if all the RTMs would be able to come, and I won't lie, like I felt a bit like I haven't been able to reach out to them as yet, just to, let them know how my experience has been so far, because I'm a person, like, I overthink everything, and I'm like, I don't want them to feel like, why is it was only Simone that was the one that, got chosen to do this, but it wasn't anything about favoritism or anything like that. Like you said, logistically, it was,
way easier.
Yeah. I'm literally on the same side of you guys. So, yeah, but this experience has been awesome. I mean, the days went out pretty fast. I wish that this would be something that I could do often. I like you mentioned, the first day I was in office, you said like it felt natural. Yeah,
it's strange how natural it feels. Like I feel like I've known you for many years. So like just seeing you in the office, like it's kind of weird how normal it feels. Where I'm just like, cool. Like, and then when I need to talk to you about work or something, I'm like, it's strange how natural it feels.
Yeah. And I was trying to figure out why it felt so natural. Like I said, was it the years? Perhaps, of course, that definitely have something to do with it, because I'm trying to imagine, like, say maybe I had just started like a month back or 2 months back and I was here. It would be perhaps a bit awkward for me, but I already grew a relationship with almost everyone on the team, right? Yep. So it was only like the maintenance guys I've never met, or even on virtual calls, other than all hands. Yeah. So seeing them and speaking with them, and I had always thought, they were reserved. Even Nicholas is like a new guy, and we hit it off right away. I get to meet Michael, Antoine. Wow, he's huge.
he's a big dude. Yeah.
So like it's great. It's great, and I wish at some point, the other RTMs at some point would get an experience.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. A large part of it too was tenure for you as well. Like you've committed nearly 5 years of full-time work to the company as well. So I mean, that's a big commitment, and we've been through a lot together. So you're flying in, you get through customs, thankfully, like all that went smoothly. You land in Richmond. Is anything like, are you nervous when I'm coming to pick you up at nearly midnight, or are you just kind of like, whatever, I made it, like good to go?
I wasn't nervous. Like, I don't know, Steven. It's like I feel like I knew you.
Yeah.
Like this happened before.
Right.
So it wasn't something that was, oh my gosh, I'm nervous to meet you. I was just nervous just being in a different state, compared to back home. Right. So I was like, how am I going to adjust to this? But it happened so easily.
It was cool because like I was nervous, but it wasn't like from a, like, I don't know, Simone type. It wasn't from that. It was almost like, it was just excitement probably.
Yeah.
And then it was interesting. The one specific thing I noticed is I saw you and I was super excited, pulled the truck over and started getting your bags, and you said like something. I don't even know what you said. But as soon as I heard your voice, I was like, Heck yeah. Like, I was like, dude, this is awesome. I was like, it is, yes. And then literally, as soon as you said whatever you said, the first sentence, like, it was zero nerve. It was like, we've known each other for years, and we talk on a, very frequently and stuff. It literally was like no factor at all. And then we got you checked into your Airbnb and stuff like that. So, and it's been awesome. Like, we've been keeping you busy since you've been here, and got you out grocery shopping and maybe some karaoke and some other lunches and everything else. Was there anything? Well, I guess you kind of spoke to it already. Like, was there anything surprising to you when you saw Peak's office? Was it what you imagined? Was it bigger, smaller? Like, did you expect it to be different? Anything like that?
It's much more bigger. From the virtual standpoint, we probably think it's just this area right here. Like, I wasn't expecting the space that I was seeing. So, and as what I understand, you guys, well, you recently moved, but the floor that you were on was much smaller. But it's huge, and the office is beautiful. It's still in renovation, as you guys say. So I don't know how much beautiful it can get, but it's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. What about in as far as people? You said Anton's huge. You said Alex is tall.
Yeah.
So it's cool, like, actually seeing, because
usually it's just this that we see. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, like, so you've been here. It is now a Wednesday that we're having this conversation about halfway through the day. You got here this past Saturday night or close to midnight. And then you're flying out tomorrow morning. Is there any experience that you've had so far, personally or professionally, that you'll take back with you to Belize?
Well, let me just speak on the personal side. I just totally enjoy everything. Last night was great. It was the first time I experienced something like that. The Parlay, what's the name of the place? The whole, and it seems that they started karaoke and stuff like that. I've never seen like some musical trivia. That was fun. So that was something new. I would wish I could speak to someone in Belize and have them do something like that. It would be great. And when it came to, like, on the professional side, it was definitely great just being here. And for instance, I was, like I told you, before I came, I intentionally held off on doing some onboarding because I wanted to try it here just to feel how it feels. And it was great. Alex was there, Gina was there, Verna was there. And when I had questions, I didn't have to send it via email, or I didn't have to do a ring central. I literally just reach over and say, hey. So that was great. Like, I enjoyed that aspect right there.
Did seeing the in-office operations, and you've seen, did you guys, like, go out to properties and look at properties too, right?
Well, I wasn't able to necessarily go specific, but driving along.
Got it. Okay. Which is fine. And if there's still more properties that you want to see, we can take you there before you leave. But I mean, there's so many of them. You're definitely not going to hit, like, you might hit like 1% of them. But yeah, if there are specific ones, we can make sure you roll by and see them. But would you say, like, this trip to the office gave you a different perspective on, like, the role that you have with the company? Like, now you see the company is real, and we actually exist. But, like, do you think it's going to impact, like, your, like, having that kind of tangible experience? Like, now you go back and work remotely. Do you think it's going to change, like, your view of what we're doing and the impact we could make here on the ground?
Yeah. Well, it's great actually seeing it firsthand, listening to property managers having, the talks among what is happening with a specific property, or I'm listening to Jay and he's speaking to the maintenance guys, and he's also speaking to Calvin and Jan on calls, and I can mix the two of them and mesh it together. So yes, when I'm back home, yes, I'm going to be back in my little space, but mentally I have this with me, so I can always switch back. I can probably days off and be like, well, Yeah, whenever I'm feeling down or lonely, I remember that I had this experience
Yep.
that can stick with me.
Yeah, and you have a team. You have a
Yeah.
team that cares, that you've
That
met in person and
actually
stuff.
cares.
And
Yeah.
we've always, again, and we've talked about this, but like we've always tried to promote that from a remote standpoint. But now you get to give us hugs and shake our hands
Yeah.
and talk to us in person and know that you really do have a team that cares about you. And fortunately, we were able to meet in person. And I know this podcast was a little it might have made you a little nervous when I was like, hey, I'm going to interview you. But you did great.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts that you want to share? Maybe any advice to business owners that hire remote team members that you would like to share from your perspective?
Yeah. One of the major things that I believe will always hold remote workers is that genuine care, support. Support goes a long way, and just let us know that you genuinely care. We can tell, because most of us from where we're at, we're not used to being able to come directly express ourselves. But if you allow, we might not do it on the first or the second time that you tell us the floor is there, you can express yourself. But if we see that you continuously let us know that it's there and we see that it's genuine, we are going to open up to you. And once we're able to open up and we see that you're being, you're trusting the things that's coming from our perspectives, and you're actually looking into it and trying to make changes or to let us feel more comfortable, it's going to go a long way, and it's going to work out on a positive way for you and the company as a whole. So yeah, and flexibility is important. We're, at the end of the day, we are humans. We're not AI, we're not bots. So even though we're 1,000 miles away, we are still humans. So we have feelings, we have family. So if you guys would be flexible with us, it helps a lot. And if you take care of us, we take care of you.
100%. I've learned that, and you've taken great care of us.
Yeah.
And we've done everything we can, not without mistakes, but we've done everything we can to take care of you. I love seeing you in some peak gear.
Yeah.
I know you got some peak gear. I love seeing it. Do you have any final thoughts before we close out?
Well, you know what I did thought about, as you said, you mentioned the peak gear. I think at some point, even if you're not able to perhaps bring the remote workers here, at least perhaps see if you can send out some of our gears to them. It will give them some sense of belonging, Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for everything you've done over the past, nearly 5 years of this company. And we have been through so much as a team because we care and we want to build something special. And you, from 1,000 miles away, have carried that same culture, that same vision, the same ambition, the same work ethic, the same personalities from Belize to help us grow this company. And it's incredible having you here in person. And you've set the example as our most tenured RTM. You've set the example for other RTMs to allow us to grow that team and make an impact in different, in multiple different countries, but different, mostly in the Philippines right now, and help them have more opportunity and more structure and more support and more resources, which allows our team to grow as a whole. A lot of that was based on your experience and your willingness to show up knowing that you were one of the first, that you were going to help us learn. And we were able to build on the foundation that you help us create. And now we have an awesome team of remote team members that our company and in-house team cares about, just like they're sitting next to each other. I will never forget the day 3 years ago. We had my first hire at the company, and a good friend of mine had worked with us for a number of years. Dave Euler passed away, and we had to, he'd passed away in the middle of the night. I went to his house. Me and Tucker went to his house, and we were there with his family, and he was being carried out. And it was difficult. We had to show up to work the next day. Dave was a leader, and he set the example for the culture on this team. And it was at the time when it was just me and him, it was me and him against the world. Yeah. We were going to do this thing together. And he wasn't a partner in the company, but he acted like he was. Like he owned it. And he got mad whenever there was a mistake, and we were going to figure out how to do it at a higher quality. Mm-hmm. And so he set that tone and set that example. And through him, we were able to build our team and build the maintenance team on that example and on that culture. And one thing that always stands out to me is like, I had to break the news to the team the next day.
Yeah,
and it was brutally impossible for me to have that. I mean, it was just absolutely brutal to have that conversation. I barely got through it. Mm-hmm. And then I went and I was like, I had to jump on the virtual call.
Yeah.
And tell the virtual team, the remote team members. And in my head, I remember thinking, they're going to be sad, mm-hmm. but like, they never met Dave, and I wasn't like, that wasn't my primary thought. Mm-hmm. I was just like, hey, this is going to be I got to say this twice. It's going to be really hard to get out. Yeah. But to me, it was almost easier to say it to the remote team because they didn't have that in-person connection is what I mean by it.
Okay.
And so when I made that call, most of the team was sad, rightfully so, but your response was shocking. And it was shocking in the way that like I could see what connection you had to the team, and I could see how much you cared. And it was unbelievable to know that from over 1,000 miles away, never having met him, you were as impacted as you were.
Dave actually used to be very communicative on Ring Central. So I somewhat had a relationship with him, even though I never met him. I didn't even met him virtually either.
Really?
No. It was only on the phones.
Yeah, that makes sense because he wouldn't he wouldn't use computers.
Yeah. So at the time it was myself and Adam that had most communication with him. So it was at that moment for me, instantly I was like, wow, I will never be able to hear Dave again.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It was absolutely brutal, but when I saw your reaction, I was like, man, we are a team.
Yeah.
And remote or not, we're a team.
I think it's just like maybe on the 12th, I think that anniversry went this month.
It just happened. It was the Sunday.
I remember it.
The Sunday we went grocery shopping.
Yeah.
I had meant to bring it up, but I also didn't want I didn't know if I really wanted to think about it too much.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't want to. I don't know. I don't know. I was pretty reserved, but.
But I remember. Trust me. On my way here, when I was on the plane ride, when I connected from Houston to Richmond, mm-hmm. and I was anticipating, meeting each person. I don't know how, but for some reason, I remember it clear that it was October when you broke the news.
Yeah.
And then when I was doing the math, I was like, wow, it's going to be 3 years already. Yeah. And then it would have been nice because I know Dave would have still been with us with his company.
Heck yeah.
So it would have been nice meeting him in person as well.
And we still talk about his example to this day of some of his leadership and his work ethic and the example he set. But it was just it still I still think about that today. Your reaction was definitely one of you're fired up, you're a part of the team, and you're one of us. And it was really cool to see in such a hard time. And that also let me know is we got to support them just the same we got to support the in-house people too. And so anyway, it was really interesting, and I really appreciate you and really appreciate all that you've done for the team and the other remote team members and continue to do for the team. Mm-hmm. And thanks for kind of going out on a limb and coming to America and hanging out with us for a little bit. But in doing this podcast, I really appreciate it. And hopefully this helps other business owners understand the good and the bad of what other business owners can do to have remote team members on their team and be successful and scale their company. You've played a significant role for that in Peak, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're setting the bar really high, Stephen. So
Thank you.
thank you too.